Besties above the resties? We don't think so. Today we're exploring the tale of two of the worst friends of all time in the history of ever. Seriously, these two girls gave Judas a run for his money. Welcome to Wine and Crime Time, where we drink heavily and judge humans behaving badly. Pour yourself a cup of your favorite booze and let's dive in. So, Skylar Annette Neese was born on February 10, 1996 to parents Mary and Dave Neese. Mary worked as an administrative medical assistant, and Dave was a product assembler at Walmart. Skylar was their only child, and they lived in Star City, a tiny suburb in West Virginia. Skylar was an extremely loved child.
Hi, Daddy.
You're a beautiful baby.
Mary and Dave described her as sweet and genuine. She loved animals and playing outdoors. She was an all-around good kid who was adored by her parents. In second grade, Skylar formed a special bond with another girl named Sheila Eddy. Sheila, like Skylar, was an only child, but faced some challenges with her parents' divorce and her father had a disability. Skylar and Sheila grew really close and stayed close all the way to high school. Skylar did really well in school. Her teachers liked her, she got straight A's, and had high hopes of one day becoming a criminal lawyer. Sheila had some family troubles, but she was well liked and was known as being kind of wild and carefree. Dave and Mary loved Sheila, and they even thought of her as one of their own. They said she would often walk into their home unannounced, and they would always welcome her with open arms. So Sheila and Skylar meet Rachel Schoaf in their freshman year of high school. Rachel was also an only child, and like Sheila, was dealing with her parents' divorce. Rachel, Sheila, and Skylar form a deep connection. They're spending all their time together, and Mary and Dave were honestly thrilled to see their daughter surrounded by such loyal friends.
But together every second of every day. It seemed like they hung out all the time.
It wasn't long before they started experimenting with drugs and alcohol. The three girls would often sneak across the Pennsylvania border to smoke and drink. The girls started having some drama when Rachel and Sheila started getting closer and leaving Skylar out. They would make plans without her all the time. They would dress like each other to make her jealous, and they would purposely plan their outfits to make her feel left out. And eventually, rumors started swirling around the school that maybe Rachel and Sheila were in a secret relationship. Skylar was not happy about their little mean girl antics, and she'd started sending out some strange tweets like, "I'll tell the whole school all of the shit I have on everyone," which is a lot. And "too bad my friends are having a life without me. You're a two-faced bitch and obviously fucking stupid if you thought I wouldn't find out." And "just know, I know. Hope you don't expect me to give a fuck anymore. Bye." So, on July 4th, 2012, Skylar was home alone because Rachel and Sheila had made plans without her again, and Skylar was pissed. She sat at home feeling sad and lonely, and her mom suggested that maybe she read a book or do some homework to take her mind off of things. But Skylar was like, "Nah, I'm gonna tweet about this." So she sends a few tweets out. One that says, "It really doesn't take much to piss me off." And another says, "You doing shit like this is why I can never completely trust you." The next day, on July 5th, 2012, Skylar worked her shift at Wendy's until about 10 o'clock p.m. And when she got home, her parents were in the living room just watching TV, having a very casual night. She walked in, hung out with them for a second, gave them both a kiss goodnight, and then went up to her room.
Gave her a kiss and gave her a hug and said, "I love you, Mom." She turned to me and said, "I love you, Dad." And she went to the room.
At about 12:30 a.m. on Friday, July 6th, Skylar Neese snuck out of her house through her bedroom window. She used a small bench on the ground underneath the window to help her climb out. She took her purse, her cell phone, and her wallet. There's surveillance video of her leaving the apartment complex at 12:31 a.m. Skylar can be seen walking through the parking lot across the street to where a car was waiting, and then she gets into the back seat and it drives away.
She slowly walked down to a car that was sitting there waiting on her, and she got in the back seat, I could tell that, and she drove away.
The next morning, Mary and Dave got ready for work like normal, and they assumed Skylar was in her room. She said that she was going to bed early the night before. David planned to go do his shift at Walmart, come back, and give Skylar his car so that she could take it to her shift at Wendy's. He got home midday as planned, and he went to Skylar's room. But when he got to her door, he realized that the door was locked, which was unusual. So Dave is knocking on her door, but there's no response. An unsettling sense of fear washed over him as he stood outside the house near the window. As he looked closer, he noticed the bench on the ground and saw that the window was wide open.
I called Skylar's cell phone. I said, "Hey, you're in trouble. You better be calling me right away." And so I called her cell phone about 10 times. I called Mary again.
At that moment, he connects the dots and enters a state of panic. He immediately calls Sheila to see if she knew where Skylar was. Sheila picks up and admits to speaking to Skylar around midnight, but hadn't heard from her since. So Dave reaches out to Mary, Skylar's mother, who shares his concern, but she urges him to stay calm.
I said, "We're not going to worry. I'll call them about 10 after 4, give her time to clock in, everything, see if she's there."
As Mary arrives home, they receive an alarming call from Wendy's informing them that Skylar had failed to show up for work. So now Dave and Mary are totally freaked out. They contact the Star City police to report Skylar is missing and let everyone else know what's going on.
Police.
I have a daughter that's 16 years old. Apparently she snuck out of her room last night and she hasn't been seen since. None of her friends can get a hold of her. I can't find her.
What's her name?
Skylar Neese.
They're brainstorming on where Skylar might be, but they literally have no idea. And then Sheila makes an unexpected callback with some seemingly valuable information. She says she and Rachel had picked Skylar up at about 11 o'clock p.m., which contradicted her previous statement about only speaking with her on the phone. According to Sheila, they had spent an hour together before dropping Skylar off a short distance away. In an attempt to aid the search for Skylar, Sheila and her mother arrived at the Neese household. They divided into teams, Sheila, her mother, and Mary, and canvassed one side of the street, knocking on doors and questioning residents, while Dave and an officer worked the other side. They sought any leads or information, especially from those with security cameras that might have captured something during the night. Skylar's disappearance did not meet the criteria for an Amber Alert since 4 conditions had to be fulfilled at that time: suspicion of abduction, the child being under 18, which he was, the potential danger of death or serious harm, which there was, and sufficient information to aid the alert. Plus, when this was all going on, there was also that stupid BS around the whole wait 48 hours to file a missing persons report. Dave and Mary desperately pleaded with the police to understand that Skylar's behavior of sneaking out did not align with her character, but the cops were not budging. Frustrated by the lack of attention to their daughter's case, Dave and Mary took matters into their own hands. They created and distributed flyers with Skylar's photo description and last known outfit throughout the county, determined to bring attention to her disappearance.
They would knock on the doors and ask, "Have you seen this girl?" And we kept showing the pictures to people and nobody had seen her.
Rachel and Sheila were devastated about Skylar being gone. Sheila, according to Mary and Dave, seemed to be the most concerned. She would over and over say, "I wish I had some information. I wish I knew something. I wish I could help." So she seemed very cooperative. She asked to volunteer to search to pass out flyers. And a few days after Skylar's disappearance, Sheila even went to Skylar's room and broke down in tears. Mary walked in and they shared a heartfelt moment, embracing and supporting each other during this difficult time. On June 9th, 2012, things start to get taken a little more seriously by law enforcement. They're like, "Okay, she's been gone for a while now." And Dave and Mary are like, "Yeah, dummies, feel free to step in now." So luckily, the West Virginia State Police and the FBI joined the search, and now they decide to bring Sheila in for questioning. Now, what's really interesting is as soon as investigators did their first interview with Sheila, they instantly felt like something was wrong. Their first read of Sheila was that she was a total narcissist, so there were some serious red flags there. Another red flag was flying on July 6th, the same day Skylar went missing, when Rachel went on a boating trip with her mother. She noticed a significant cut on Rachel's ankle, which struck her as unusual. The next day, Rachel had to attend church camp, and during a phone interview with police, she seemed remarkably nonchalant. While she claimed to not know Skylar's whereabouts, she didn't exhibit the same level of panic as Sheila. She agrees to an in-person interview after returning from camp, but she did not prioritize it when she came back, which is odd considering this is one of her closest frenemies that's now missing. Investigators had to locate Rachel for the interview, and when they finally brought her in, her account mirrored what she had said on the phone, almost verbatim. The consistency made it appear rehearsed, which is super shady. Investigators dive into social media, computers, and even Skylar's journal, hoping to find any leads. The last journal entry, written a year before Skylar vanished, revolved around Sheila. Skylar expressed admiration for Sheila's ability to attract attention from boys, detailing Sheila's sexual experiences with Rachel and how they would usually make out in her presence. Skylar seemed captivated by Sheila, living vicariously through her, and then 2 weeks later, she tweeted about exposing Sheila to the entire school. Investigators continue to search Skylar's social media, especially her Twitter, for more clues, and they start looking at her final tweets a little bit differently. Skylar went missing the summer between her sophomore and junior year, and of course, people started speculating that she ran away.
First impression was it could be a runaway. There are kids that run away.
But Dave and Mary were certain that wasn't something Skylar would do. Meanwhile, Sheila appeared to be deeply affected by the situation, expressing her distress on Facebook. "Skylar, come back. I seriously cannot deal with school without you. I miss you too much." Dave is responding, saying she's gonna come back soon. He's being super reassuring to Sheila, and it seems like Sheila was legitimately just super upset about her friend being gone. Then some odd rumors started circulating at school, implying that maybe Rachel and Sheila had something to do with Skylar's disappearance, and on September 3rd, search warrants were issued to confiscate all electronic devices and communication records belonging to Sheila and Rachel. The police felt increasingly confident that Sheila and Rachel possessed vital information. They speculated that there may have been an accident, maybe Sheila and Rachel were trying to avoid trouble, or maybe they were trying to cover up for Skylar in some way. And so the police discreetly informed Dave and Mary, advising them not to inform Rachel and Sheila to avoid compromising their investigation. As time went on, the pressure mounted on Sheila and Rachel. After re-examining the security footage, the police discovered that Sheila had never picked up Skylar at 11 o'clock p.m. as she originally claimed. They then sought footage from other locations they had allegedly visited during that hour, and after reviewing footage from a convenience store, they realized that Sheila's Toyota Camry was in fact the car that had picked Skylar up at 12:30 a.m. So now the pieces are starting to come together, and now that Sheila and Rachel clearly have more to do with this than they'd originally let on, the investigators are trying to figure out their motive. So to gain insight, they create an online persona posing as a high school attendee to monitor the girls' social media posts. They dive into thousands of Facebook and Twitter posts, diligently searching for relevant codes and hashtags, and Sheila's online behavior was starting to look super suspicious. Sheila had sent quite a few strange tweets. One that read, "No one on this earth can handle me and Rachel. If you think you can, you're wrong." Despite multiple interrogations, both Sheila and Rachel maintained a consistent story. However, stark contrasts between the two emerged during this round of questioning. Rachel now appeared nervous and reserved, while Sheila exuded cheerfulness, confidence, and even tried flirting with investigators. Like, girl, read the room. Sheila really wanted to stay as close to the investigation as possible. She was always asking for them to keep her updated with any new information, constantly saying how she wishes she knew more information, whereas Rachel has kind of done everything she can to stay away from the whole thing and seemed super nervous about it. She even totally kept her distance from Mary and Dave. So in the winter of 2012, police had analyzed security footage from a bunch of different places and discovered that the girls had driven to Blacksville on the night Skylar disappeared, contradicting Rachel and Sheila's initial denials. Rachel and Sheila were sticking to their same stories until one interview where Rachel told them something completely different. She claimed that Skylar had run off into the woods that night. She said that she and Sheila had tried to run after her and tried to find her, but that she was gone. This was a huge change from her original story. Like, all this time later you're coming out with this? The police questioned Sheila about it, and she confirmed that Rachel's telling the truth, and now the investigators are like, okay, these girls are so annoying. They are not telling us the full story. By mid-December, the cops are like, we're just gonna give these girls a polygraph test. And by this time, Rachel had started struggling mentally, and her parents had voiced some concerns about her. So investigators bring the girls in, and Sheila is a hard fail on the polygraph test from jump. She is lying left and right. Rachel takes the test too, but after only a few questions, Rachel breaks and says, "We stabbed her." The investigators are like, what? We thought this girl just ran away somewhere and you freaking stabbed this girl? oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Okay, let's get this going on a murder case because we clearly underestimated you little mini psychos. And by now, Rachel is ready to start singing like a canary. According to Rachel, Skylar and Sheila had recently taken a trip together and fought the entire time. And when they got back, Sheila complained to Rachel about Skylar. She said she didn't like her anymore and that Skylar had to go. Upon reviewing the messages, the police discovered that on July 5th, Rachel and Sheila had urged Skylar to sneak out with them that night. Initially hesitant, Skylar eventually agreed to join them. It was revealed that Sheila was the driver of the Toyota Camry that picked her up around 12:30, with Rachel sitting in the passenger seat. They headed towards Blacksville in Magnolia County, near the Pennsylvania border, approximately 25 minutes away from Stark City.
They found an area where they could sit and talk. And Skylar leaves to go back to the car, and then Rachel said, "On 3."
Originally planning to take Route 19 to Route 7, Sheila changed their route when she noticed a parked state police car at an intersection. Eventually, they reached Blacksville, crossed into Pennsylvania, and drove down a secluded, dark, winding road. This spot was familiar to the girls, where they would often come to smoke weed with Skylar. After a brief conversation in the car, they got out and headed to their usual smoking spot. Skylar realized that she had left a lighter in the car, so she turned around toward the car to get it and started walking that way when suddenly Sheila and Rachel counted 1, 2, 3, and on 3 both girls pulled out kitchen knives that they had taken from their parents' house and started stabbing Skylar.
That's when her and Sheila started stabbing Skylar from behind.
Skylar started screaming, of course, completely shocked, but realized what was going on and immediately tried to escape, but she couldn't. Rachel said she fell backward and stopped stabbing Skylar, but Sheila just kept at it. According to Rachel, all Skylar could say before she died was, "Why?" Which is what all of us want to know. Like, what the hell is wrong with these girls? It turns out Rachel and Sheila had stabbed Skylar Neese over 50 times, and Rachel talked about how much they premeditated this. They had packed up all the gear that they would need in their car, including paper towels, rags, bleach, clean clothes, and even a shovel. They had all of this in the trunk of her car. Their next move was to get that shovel and dig a hole so that they could bury her out there, but as soon as they started to dig, they realized the ground was too hard and rocky, so they couldn't make a hole. So instead, they dragged her body over near a tree and just covered her with dirt, debris, branches, and just random things that they found. After that, they turned off Skylar's cell phone and left it next to her body. They went on to wash themselves off at the creek, and then they walked back to their car where they had a fresh change of clothes. They got in the car like everything was normal and went home. On their way home, they dumped off all the evidence that they had, and they got back to their houses around 6:00 a.m. The officers are like, "Is this girl for real?" So they ask her why she did it, and her response was that they just didn't like her.
Did you ask Rachel why? Why did you two do this?
She would not give us any specific details other than they just didn't like her.
She said they didn't want to be friends with her anymore, and this was the only way to get rid of her. So the cops don't even know where to start. They don't even have a body. So they're like, "Oh my God, we hate this girl." Okay, Rachel, do you at least remember where you put her body? Can you at least lead us to that? And Rachel agrees. So they go out there to see where she thought they had dumped the body, but the area had been completely covered by snow at that point. And Rachel couldn't remember exactly where they put the body. Shocker, because Rachel sucks. So they had to wait until all the snow was melted before they could do anything. On January 4th, 2013, the police obtained a warrant to seize knives from Sheila's house.
Every kitchen knife we could find. And then the FBI seized Sheila's car, and they
During their search, they discovered blood in the trunk of her car.
were able to find presence of DNA in the trunk.
So now Sheila is starting to suspect that Rachel has confessed based on her behavior, and Sheila knows their lies are falling apart. So Rachel agrees to wear a wire during one of her hangouts with Sheila, but remember, Rachel is the worst, so of course she becomes nervous and she just doesn't discuss Skylar with Sheila at all. But once the snow melts, the police search the wooded area where Rachel claimed they had left her body, and that's where they discover the body of Skylar Neese, abandoned on the ground by her friends. On March 13th, the police make a public announcement through a press release confirming the discovery of the body of Skylar Neese in Pennsylvania.
The search for Monongalia County teenager Skylar Neese is over.
Sheila, in a possible confession, tweeted on April 1st, 2013 at 1:37 a.m. saying, "We really did go on 3." On May 1st, 2013, Rachel turns herself in and pleads guilty to second-degree murder.
Plead to the offense of murder in the first degree of the felony charged in count 3 of the indictment in this case.
She was transferred to adult status and admitted to unlawfully causing Skylar Neese's death by stabbing her, resulting in fatal injuries. The state of West Virginia recommends a 20-year sentence for her. The blood found in Sheila's car was confirmed to belong to Skylar Neese, and so Sheila was arrested and charged with first-degree murder.
Sheila Eddy, how do you plead to the offense of murder in the first degree of the felony charged in count 3 of the indictment in this case?
Guilty.
The record will reflect that the defendant has entered a plea of guilty to the offense of murder in the first degree of the felony charged in count 3 of the indictment in this case. You may be seated. Watch the chair, please.
And it was determined that she would be tried as an adult also. Following her arrest, a grand jury in West Virginia indicted her on 1 count of kidnapping, 1 count of first-degree murder, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder. The trial commenced on October 22, 2013, and Rachel's defense sought to suppress her testimony due to her mental health issues. Rachel decided to accept a plea deal instead. In exchange, the state of Pennsylvania agreed to not press additional charges against her. On January 24, 2014, Sheila pled guilty to first-degree murder, ending the 18-month ordeal since she callously killed Skylar Neese, which honestly seems like way too long considering all the evidence piled up against her, but she received a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 15 years.
Sheila Eddy, for your conviction of the offense of murder in the first degree upon your plea of guilty, it is the sentence of the court that you've been imprisoned in the West Virginia State Penitentiary for the rest of your natural life. Consistent with the requirements of the Constitution of the United States, that sentence is technically with mercy, which makes you eligible for parole after you have served 15 years.
Sheila Eddy showed zero remorse and offered no apologies for Skylar's family. Watch your haters, y'all. The next month, Rachel was sentenced to a 30-year prison term with a possibility of parole in 10. Rachel expressed remorse and apologized to the family in court, while her own family released a public apology through their lawyer. Both girls are incarcerated to this day in the Lakin Correctional Center in Mason County, West Virginia. Rachel's parole was denied in May 2023 in her first attempt at freedom. Rightfully so. Stay in there, girl. We do not need you out here. There was one positive outcome, you could say, from this whole situation, and that is Skylar's Law. This law changed West Virginia's criteria for putting out an Amber Alert. And basically now, an immediate Amber Alert will be put out to the public even if the child is not suspected of being kidnapped. The moral of this story is watch your haters and definitely watch your daughters because they might be total lunatics and you wouldn't even know it. Rest easy, Skylar Neese. You are a light and you are so sorely missed down here. We're so sorry your beautiful life was cut short by such trash human beings, and you will be remembered forever. Thanks for tuning in to Wine and Crime Time. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for weekly updates, and we will see you in the next video. Toodaloo!